Welcome back to another episode of the Grow Your Daycare podcast. Today I am answering a question that I know you have probably asked yourself, especially if you're running a center. So let's say you're an owner, a director, or you've hired directors to run your center and you're running, let's say, ads and you've hired agencies to help you with your marketing and you're not getting any enrollments, any booked visits, and you are trying to figure out what the heck is going on. I want to talk a little bit about a case study about a client that I've been working with for the last 2 months, and I want to talk a little bit about his struggles and what I suggested and the kinds of results that he's been getting. So hopefully this is going to be an interesting episode for you. Before I dive in, I want you to know that I do take on 3 private clients every single month. So whether you're looking for someone to optimize your Google My Business profile, whether you're someone that is interested in hiring someone to run your ads for you or create all your social media posts, I want you to check out the links in the show notes. I have a few links there where you can definitely figure out if this is something that you would be interested in investing in for your business. I would love to help you out. So again, those links are in the show notes. Now, I have been working with a client. He is a client that has been running this center for over 37 years. So this place has been around for a very long time. And when he reached out because he was having a hard time fully booking his facility, his center. And he found that what he was doing before, let's say 2020, wasn't necessarily working right now. And this was a center that heavily relied on word of mouth and that used to do the trick back, a few years ago. But now he was finding it extremely difficult to not only get noticed online, but to stay visible, to get parents to notice, to book a visit, to call, to show up, and obviously to enroll. So he reached out and he decided that he wanted to venture off and invest in ads because he had the budget for it. So we started running lead generation campaigns on Facebook as well as on Instagram. His budget is $15 a day. And we started testing a few different, videos and creatives. And we found a really good combination that has been steadily giving us 3 leads per day. So every single day, there are 3 new parents that answer his questions, fill out the form, and then we take this information and we give this off to the director that is running the program. Now, the director that's running the program has been having a hard time keeping up with all the leads, which is, I know, a great problem to have, but she's been having a hard time doing that. And she's also been having a hard time getting these leads to book a visit, to show up, and to enroll. So he reached out and he asked me, what should I be doing differently? What should I tell my directors to do? Because we're investing all this money in ads and, Facebook is doing its job. It's getting us steady leads daily, but the directors are having a hard time. So I want to kind of focus this episode on follow-up and what that looks like, especially if you're investing in ads, okay? So the first thing is that we have to acknowledge the fact that Facebook did its job. So if you're someone that is, investing in Facebook and you're thinking that, your $10, $15 is going to do its job by bringing you parents that are ready to enroll, unfortunately, you're going to see that it's not the case, okay? Facebook is going to do what we ask it to do. So when we set up a lead generation campaign, it's going to help us generate. It's going to go out locally, right, to the people that we target. And it's going to find people that are most likely actively seeking childcare, right? Because, Facebook knows this because it tracks our behaviors online. And then it's going to show them, pieces of content. So maybe it's a blog post, maybe it's a promotion, a video, a post, something that we created. And then once someone takes action and gives us their information and fills out the form, then Facebook knows, oh, this is the type of parent that is most likely going to fill out the form. So it's going to go out and find other local families with the same type of behavior, which is really, really cool. So when Facebook gives us those leads, yes, it's done its job, okay? Now, let's talk a little bit about instant forms. Now, instant forms are forms that pop up on the platform. So when you're scrolling on Facebook or on Instagram and you see something you like and you click and you see a little form pop up, this is an instant form, okay? So they're cheaper to run because Facebook doesn't want us to take its users off of the platform, obviously, right? So you're still on the platform. And why I love them is that you can actually ask questions to make sure that the right type of people are filling out the form. Example, for this specific client, I asked, we put on the form the question to be asked. This is our location. Does this work for you? So the parents have a choice. Yes or no, it's too far. Once they click no, it's too far, I know that this lead is not going anywhere. So the form closes and then it just kind of redirects them over to their website, right? So that's not an ideal client because obviously if someone lives like 30, 40 minutes away, they're not going to be driving their kid every single day to daycare, right? So once they say yes, for example, then another question pops up and, might ask a question like, when do you need the space by? When do you want to come and visit? Or how old is your child? Or tell us what you're looking for when it comes to childcare, right? We could just ask a few questions. And once we get the answers that we want to get and we know that they're a good fit, that's the only time that the form actually allows these leads to fill out their name. I usually ask for a first name, a phone number, as well as an email. And then I direct this information to the director. Now, that's the second part, right? So the instant form. Now, once we have this information, now is when your job as the director comes in. So you have the job now of making sure that these leads, which are warm, right? Because they just filled out the form. So chances are that they remember that, yes, I was looking for daycare. I saw this ad. I'm interested. I want to get some information. And I fill out the form, right? So we're following up quickly, number one. Number two, it's up to you as the director to have a really strong and persistent follow-up process that is going to get this lead to take some type of action. So this is going to look very different, okay, depending on the tech that you have installed in your facility, if you have a CRM, if you're sending out newsletters, if it's automated, if it's still manual, like this is going to look very different, right? But what I suggested for this specific client was I actually gave them a script that they can kind of customize and follow. As soon as they got the lead from me, as soon as I gave them this information, I wanted them within the first 5 minutes to send out a text, send out an email, and to call this person, okay? After that was done, then I wanted them to wait an entire day and then do the same thing again. Now, if you have a CRM and you send out emails, I would definitely add them on the list, obviously, and then just kind of put them in an email sequence. But we do not forget that we need that connection. So you can't really just get a very strong connection by sending out an email. So that's why I love texting, calling, and obviously emailing if you can. Now, once that was done, then our job is not done. Like, let's say you do this and nobody answers. Then you just say, most people say, well, don't worry about it. Like, it doesn't matter. They weren't interested. No, that's the worst thing you can do. Maybe something happened that day. Maybe they were driving. Maybe they were sick. Maybe their kids were sick. Maybe they're out of town. Maybe they got busy with work. Things happen, you guys. So we can't just give up, especially if you're paying for leads and you're paying like $5-6 for every lead that's coming in. You want to make sure that you have a strong follow-up process that is going to kind of follow along maybe 7 days after you get the lead until you get an answer. And you guys, when parents are not interested, when let's say they found another daycare or they just don't want to come visit, they will tell you, I am no longer interested, right? So then you can just scratch them off your list, or you can just put them on an email list for future, email blasts, whatever it is that you want to do. But you don't stop just because someone does not answer the phone. You don't stop when someone visits and then you never hear from them again, right? You have to be committed to reaching out until you get that answer. No one is going to fill out a form, answer questions, fill out a form if they're not interested in childcare. So the way you approach them, the things that you say is really important. But what's also important is that you have to be persistent. You can't feel bad. You can't feel too salesy. You can't feel like that. You have to be persistent because, again, if they decided that they wanted to give you their phone number, their email address and all that, then they are interested, right? And, sometimes people say, well, maybe they gave me a wrong phone number. No, because the types of forms that we set up, Facebook is actually going to validate that they're giving you the right phone number by sending them a verification code. So if it is a bot filling this out or some kind of person that's trying to fool around, it's not going to work because they're actually going to send a verification code to that person's email. So if it's their phone number, So if it's a fake phone number, then you're not going to get their information anyways, right? So don't just call them one time and then decide, well, that's it's not going to work out. You need to be persistent. You need to be able to follow up properly. And once you do, and you start getting people to visit and you start getting people to enroll, then everything is going to change in your business, right? But hoping that they say yes just because you, a complete stranger, texted them once or called them once is not the way to think about it, right? So we need to always think that speed is your friend. Again, as soon as you get the lead, this is what I was telling this client, within 5 minutes, they need to make contact. And then they have to be persistent. So you have to send them messages and texts until you get that answer. And let's say they visit and then they don't connect back with you, then you have to be able to touch base with them, let's say the next day, offer them a promotion, offer them a call to action with a limit. Example, we love meeting you last night. We love meeting you yesterday. I hope that you enjoyed the tour. We'd love to have little Johnny in our center. We could hold his spot until tomorrow and give you, let's say, a 10% discount. But I need to know an answer before this time tomorrow. Thank you so much. Have a good day, right? So it's very simple, very easy to do. Again, you can do this via text, via email, and phone as well. But the goal here is to not feel as though you are bothering people and to not feel as though if someone didn't answer you once, then that means they're not interested, because that is not true, okay? So I hope that this episode helps. I hope that this episode really kind of puts things in perspective, especially if you are investing in ads, you're getting the leads, but no one is booking, no one is visiting, right? So if you need help setting that up properly, maybe you want to outsource your Facebook ads, I'd love to help. I take on 3 private clients every single month. So if you are there right now and you're ready to invest in Facebook ads, I'll put some links in the show notes. You can check those out. If you do happen to have a question that has to do with marketing, social media marketing, obviously let me know. My email is in the show notes as well. As always, I hope that this blesses you and your business, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.